Hi, I'm Leslie Formby. Thanks for joining me for yoga today. Just a couple of things to know. Um, Yoga really is a practice about learning to tune into our body, mind, and spirit so that when we get messages as we're moving throughout our day, throughout our life, that we listen to them and honor them and care for them. So remember that as you practice. The asanas, the poses, are what we focus on most in our culture, but they're really one of the 8 limbs of yoga that help prepare you for a comfortable seat in meditation. So there isn't a perfect pose, and it really isn't about the poses. It's about our relationship to what's happening as we go through the poses. And breath. Breath is important in yoga. It's the link between the body and the mind. And it's a reflection kind of where our mind is or how our mind is. So throughout your practice today, notice your breathing. Notice how your body and breath are linked, and remember that the breath is the link between the body, the mind, and spirit. Also, in today's class, you can pause this afterwards if you need to, and grab a mat if you don't have one. Wear non-restrictive, comfortable clothing. It's really best to be barefoot without socks. It's a lot easier to keep the feet firmly grounded on the mat, and have water nearby if you need it. If you can practice outside and you like that, by all means do it. I encourage it. I'm out here today because it's a nice sunny day. And the way we will start the practice, we'll start with some breath work. Then we'll move on to meditation. Breath work, intention. We'll set an intention for our practice. We'll do the asanas, the physical poses, and then we'll come to a brief seated meditation, and then shavasana, where we relax and sort of let our body synthesize and integrate the practice that we've done and give ourselves a chance to restore and renew ourselves. So thanks. With that, we'll get started. All right, we're going to come to our mat, and we're going to work on our 3-part breath to start. So in a 3-part breath, we fill first the belly, then the ribs, then the chest, and then we empty in the reverse from the chest, then the ribs, and then the belly. So I'm going to tell you lots of things today. Take what you can use, let the rest go, and don't worry about it. It's okay. The main thing is to keep breathing. Just keep breathing. All right, let's exhale first, and then fill the belly, ribs, chest, and empty chest, ribs, belly. Fill the belly, ribs, chest, and empty chest, ribs, belly. Again, filling the belly, the ribs, chest, and then emptying chest, ribs, belly. Fill the belly, ribs, chest, and empty chest, ribs, belly. You can continue that pattern, you can let that pattern go, and really just sort of tune into the breath. Be a companion to the breath, bringing your attention back to the breath over and over again when it falls away, which it will. That's completely natural. And it's important to know about the breathing, yogic breathing, that we breathe primarily in through our nose and out through our nose. So our mouth is closed as we do this, and that helps the prana and the flow of energy in the body. Of course, if your nose is stuffed up, or if there's some other reason that it's hard for you to breathe that way, then don't. Then breathe through the mouth too. Again, the main thing is to breathe. But traditional yogic breathing is deep through the nose and out through the nose as well. A few more minutes of breath work. And then we're going to come, well, before we come down, actually, let's set our intention. Again, something we want to concentrate on, cultivate, develop, whatever you might like to think of here on our mat, some quality or aspect of being. Maybe it's patience, maybe it's kindness, maybe it's acceptance, whatever that might be. Take a moment to set that intention. My intention today in my practice is to, whatever that might be. And then we're going to come down onto our mat into child's pose. So we'll bring our toes together, our knees apart, pressing back. And then we can rock a little bit from side to side and let that belly really sink down between the knees. Arms can be over our head or beside our legs here, whichever you prefer. And feel the muscles in the face relaxing. Feel the muscles in the neck, the shoulders, and the arms relax. Feel the hands relax. Here in our child's pose, we can begin to work again on the 3-part breath. So, exhale completely, and then inhale, filling the belly, ribs, chest, and emptying chest, ribs, belly, fill the belly, ribs, chest, and empty chest, ribs, belly. Again, you can let that pattern go and just keep breathing deeply and really send the breath into the back of those ribs. With that belly between those legs here in child's pose, we can really send the breath deep into the back ribs here. And then we're going to come to a sitting position. Sitting comfortably. Again, letting the shoulders move away from the ears, relaxing them, relaxing the arms, the hands and the fingers, relaxing the muscles in the face and softening the jaw. Begin with a brief reading. Connections are alchemical. Friendships are not static. They are living entities that grow and change. Sometimes my friendships become strained, undergoing seasons of estrangement. I allow my friendships to alter and grow. I allow them to fall and rest quietly until the season comes for them to bloom again. I do not demand my friendships always be easy. I grant to my friends the freedom to grow, to change, and to challenge me by their altered behaviors and views. I release my friends to their personal trails and timing. I do not take personally their occasional needs for distance and self-containment. My friendships are organic and evolutionary. Today I am flexible and evolutionary. I am a meadow with seasoned and various seasons and wealth in each one. I'm blessed with abundance and blessings, whether I'm with my friends or whether I'm away from them. Their blessings and abundance continue to offer me renewal. We're going to drop our head to the right. And we're going to gently let our hand rest on the head. Bring that left arm out and bring it behind our back, palm facing out. Coming back to the center. Head to the left. Gently rests on the head. Right hand behind our back. Palm facing out. If that's too much strain on the neck, release the hand. It doesn't have to rest there. Sometimes it's just a bit too much. And then come to the center. We're going to turn our head to the right, letting our head turn as far as it can, letting the eyes follow as far to the right as they can. And then to the center. And then turning to the left, letting the eyes follow. And back to the center. Drop the chin toward the chest. Gently roll the chin along the front side. And the next time we're to the right, we'll pause. And center, and then left. And back to the center. Okay, now we're going to do some shoulder rolls. We're going to roll the shoulders gently back a few times. And then roll the shoulders to the front a few times. Okay. Bring the arms out to the side, shoulder height, palm squeeze front. Reach out, let the head tip back if that's comfortable. If that's hard on your neck, keep it right here. And then come back and give ourselves a hug. Again, arms come back. And then forward, give yourself a hug. Bring the other arm on top. And then come back. The arms down. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Lift the arms. Again, in yoga, we move into a pose and we call it sort of touching the edge. So we go to the point where we feel a firm stretch and we're activating things and challenging ourselves, but we're also taking care of ourselves. So if we're moving through a pose and something doesn't feel right, it feels injurious, oh, tomorrow I'm really going to have hurt myself, I won't be able to get up or I won't be able to move my arms, then we don't do it. We back out of the pose and we let the breath be the guide there. Our breath will help us. If we can't maintain deep, even and regular breathing, that's our body's way of telling us that we need to change something in the pose. We need to back out of it or change something a little bit. We're going to bring the arms out to the side. We're going to bring the right arm over and that left arm under. If the hands meet, great. If they don't, we hold them here. Bring the elbows out and up. Lower the elbows a little. Bring the chin to the chest. Come back up. Lifting, lowering a little bit. Coming back and then draw the elbows out and up. Release. Arms come down for a moment. And bring them back up. Left arm over, right arm under. Again, if the hands touch, we let them. If they don't, it's okay. We keep them here. Elbows out and up. And then we drop that chin down, the arms down a little bit, and then come back up. Lower down, come back up, and down, come back up. And release. And then we're going to come up to standing. And we're going to do some leg swings to warm up. So we're going to swing, whoops, we'll start with our right leg. First, our right leg, swing that leg back, front and back a few times. And then swing that left leg back. And then from here, switch, and now we're going to swing that leg diagonally. Swing that right leg diagonally. And then swing the left leg diagonally. Now we're going to swing the right leg side to side. Switch. Okay. And standing cat and cow. Oh, actually, before we do that, I want to do hip rolls. So, standing here, we're going to take our right leg up, roll the hip out and come back down, and then bring it back in. And up. And over. We'll do it one more time on this side. And then one more time on this side. Okay. And now we're going to do standing cat and cow. So we take our feet shoulder width apart or so, and we're going to bring our hands right behind those knees. We're going to tuck that tailbone under like we're making a giant C curve with the back, tucking the chin to the chest. Tuck that tailbone under, giving a gentle tug, feeling a stretch through the back. And then let the hands slide up to the top of the legs. Lift the tailbone up, looking up. And again, hands come behind those knees, tucking under, and switching again. Hands go to the top. Again, alternating a few more times. And pressing down and coming up to stand. Let's come up to the front edge of our mat. Mountain pose here, we're going to bring our right knee into our chest. So bring that right knee in, hold it. Here, feeling as though we have a string that draws us up from the top of our head, gently lifting us up. Holding that knee in, and now holding here, we're going to straighten the front leg and bend it 5 times. Keeping the arms out to the side helps us with balance. I think that's one more. If not, it's good for us. And then we're going to come into airplane pose. Here, leaning forward. Again, arms out to the side can help us. We feel like we have a rectangle. 2 short lines between shoulders and hips, long lines from hips and shoulders, and that rectangle squares to the mat beneath us. And then from here, and arms out to side helps us with our balance. We're going to bring that knee in and come back for 5 times or less. We can simply lower that leg back down or hold it. 3, 4. Again, feeling as though we have that string pulling from the top of the head and then through the tailbone and lowering that back foot down to a crescent lunge. Squaring our hips here. The front hip moves back hip moves forward. Rear hips pressing into that front heel. Pressing out through the back heel. The arms can come up. Holding here. Taking a breath in and then exhaling, bringing the hands down beside that front foot, and we step that front foot back into plank, or we come to modified plank. Either one. In plank, we want to feel like our shoulders and hips are level, and then the legs come at an angle, rather than having a straight line coming down from the shoulders here through the heels, which is how I did it years ago. But I've learned it a different way that helps us maintain better core position, better strength. Shoulders, hips kind of level, and then the legs come at an angle behind you. Holding. Take a breath in. Exhale. Lower down. Hover and come down. And then here, take a moment, and we're going to come to Sphinx. So in Sphinx, our elbows are underneath our shoulders. We let the hands rest on the mat. And then we're going to lift up our right leg first, lengthen it, point the toes, put it back down. Lift up the left leg, lengthen it, put it back down. Holding here. Draw that belly button in toward the spine. And then we're going to look left. Look right. Back to the center. Look left. Look right. Come back to the center. And here in Sphinx, feel those shoulders so we don't have chicken wings. The shoulders are underneath, the elbows are underneath our shoulders. And then, here, nice and long. The neck is a natural extension of the spine, so we're not here. We're here, kind of letting it follow the arc of the spine as best we're able to. And then from here we're going to tuck the chin, and then we're going to tuck all the way through the shoulders. So we're lifting the shoulders up a little bit, lifting the upper back, lifting the belly now, and then lifting the low back, coming up onto lifting the thighs, the hips, and now we're resting on our knees and our elbows and our feet. Holding here, we call this either a sushi roll or ugly plank. Holding, holding. Taking a breath in, exhaling, taking another breath in, and then exhale and lower back down, lowering from the thighs, the hips, coming back. We're going to press back into downward facing dog. Curling those toes under, lifting the hips. Letting the heels sink toward the mat. Not worrying about whether they get there or not. Just giving them the suggestion that they sink toward the mat. Shifting the weight back toward the heels. Pressing through the base of the fingers and the pads of the fingertips to take some pressure off the wrist, and then externally rotating those upper arms to firm those shoulder blades. Take a few deep breaths in through the nose and then out through the nose. And then we're going to come down into child's pose. Toes together, knees apart. Again, rock a little from side to side. Let that belly sink down toward the mat. And then we're going to come back into downward facing dog. Shifting the weight back again toward the heels. Again, pressing through the base of the fingers and the pads of the fingertips. Externally rotating the upper arms. And finding and connecting with the breath here again. And remembering that we can come out of this pose and come to child's pose at any point. You can do that at any point in yoga practice. Child's pose is home base, so it's mountain pose. So you can go to them without explanation, without justification. It's a sign of self-care. When we listen to the body, if we need to be in one of those poses, and go to that pose. And then from here, we're going to bring that left foot forward. We're going to come into a 90-degree lunge. So that back knee comes down at 90 degrees. The front knee is at 90 degrees. We want to make sure that front knee stays stacked on top of or behind that front ankle. Here, holding, squaring the hips, squaring that torso, that rectangle between the shoulders and hips. And we're going to bring the arms up. Bring the fingertips together, and then from here, we're going to circle with halos. So we come around and come back, come around and back, one more time, and back, and then switch. Come around, back, around, and one more time. Awkward with the ponytail. There we go. Hands come down. Step that back foot in. And we're going to come up to mountain pose. Take a nice big breath in. Sweep the arms up the side and then bring them back down and around. Hands to our heart center. And we're going to bring the arms up. Exhale, bring those hands back down. And then we're going to bring that left knee into our chest. And hold. And then from here, we're going to extend that left leg. And the arms can kind of help be rudders. Swinging that leg, bending that knee, straightening it 5 times, roughly, maybe once. You can bring that leg down. You can hold in mountain pose, whatever feels right. Again, it's that touching the edge, challenging, but taking care of ourselves. And then from here, into airplane, shifting the weight to the front. Arms out to the side. And then squaring again the torso to the mat beneath you. From here, Bringing that knee in, back out. That knee comes back in, back out, back in, back out. 2 more times. And then we're going to come into crescent lunge, stepping that back foot back. If we need a little more stability, we can widen the distance between the 2 legs, the width between them. The closer our heels and toes are in alignment, the less stability we have. So pressing out through that back heel, sinking down low here, tucking that tailbone under, pressing out through the back heel, pressing through that front heel, and then bringing the arms up, reaching up, feeling energy coming up from the soles of the feet, up through the legs, in to the hips, up through the belly and the heart center, up to the arms. Nice big breath in, exhaling to release, taking another breath in, exhaling, bringing the hands down, stepping the front foot back, coming again to plank, shoulders and hips level, legs coming at an angle behind them, drawing that belly in toward the spine, lowering down slowly to the mat. Elbows underneath our shoulders. And here we're going to look right and left a few times. We'll be doing that sushi roll in a moment, or the ugly plank. And then back to the center. And here, we're going to look up. And then to neutral and back up. And then to neutral. And back up. Down in here. Let's pick up our left leg. Point the big toe, or all the toes, and bring that leg back down. Pick up the right as well. Bring that back down and anchor with that pubic bone. Again, elbows under shoulders. Hands are resting firmly on the surface underneath them. And then we're going to tuck that chin to the chest. And then from here, we're going to begin to, as though there's a string between the shoulder blades that pulls us up. So feel that string between the shoulder blades drawing us up. The head tucks towards the chin tucks towards the chest. Shoulders begin to lift, the middle of the back, the belly, the hips up through the thighs, and hold. Keep that belly button drawing in. Keep the hands pressing down. Take a breath in. Exhale, we lower down first the thighs, the hips. Coming back. And then from here we're going to press back into downward facing dog. So we bring the wrists underneath shoulders, press up, curl those toes under, shift the weight back. And again here, press through the base of the fingers, press into the pads of the fingers, and externally rotate those upper arms. Feel the heels sinking and the hips lifting. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower down. We're going to come into child's pose. And here again, you can shift the weight from side to side, letting that belly sink down toward the mat. Letting that tailbone drop to the heels. This is the pose where we relax and let go. Sink in, relax, release. Again, we lift back up, come back into downward facing dog. Curling those toes under. Where is your breath? And how is your breath? And then we're going to look between our hands. We're going to bring the right foot forward. And if we need to, we can walk those hands back, come up to standing, and bring that right foot forward. For our 90-degree lunge on this side. So that front knee is stacked on top of or behind the front ankle. The back knee comes down to a 90-degree angle, and we hold here for a moment. And then we bring the arms up and we begin the halo circles. So we come up and around in one direction, roughly 3 times, and then we switch directions. And then bring those arms back up. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bring the hands down. Bring that back foot in. Fold here. Sweep those arms out to the side. Nice big breath in. And then exhale. Bring the hands back to the heart center. And we're back in mountain pose again. And here in mountain pose for a moment, let's pause and work on our mountain. So we start by firmly rooting down through the soles of the feet. So our feet are about hip width apart. So that's about 2 fists. We want to feel like the outside edges of the feet are kind of parallel to the short edges of our mat, which means for some of us, depending on how wide your foot is, you might be a little bit pigeon-toed. It's okay. Pressing down. And then here, feel the weight centered back over those heels. So we can lift up our toes and wiggle them, and then put them back down. And then we feel like we're pressing through all 4 points of the feet. So on the outer edges of the feet, the ball of the foot, outer edge of the pinky toe, underneath that, the ball of the pinky toe, and then on the outside edge of the two, both sides of the heel. Press down through those areas. Feel the arch begin to lift up a little bit. Imagine the arch lifting, settling back. And then feel like our knees stack over our ankles. Our hips stack over our knees. Our shoulders stack over our hips. Our ears are over our shoulders, which means our chin is just a little bit tucked. And then we have that string that just sort of lifts us up. Feel that invisible string lifting us up rather than kind of crunching us down. We're not crunching down, we're lifting and lengthening. And as we do that, sometimes the tendency is to really straighten those legs and kind of hyper extend the knees, lock them. Keep a little bit of a bend in those knees. Tuck that tailbone a little bit. Let that tailbone lengthen down. Let the pubic bone lift up a little bit. Belly button draws in. And then our arms. It's a whole body engagement. Fingertips lengthen down. The arms are relaxed. So, whole body's engaged here. To a casual observer, it looks like we're just standing here. Lots going on. Mountain pose is the starting point for all standing poses. And again, it's home base. So we come to mountain pose whenever we want, without explanation, without justification. So if at any point in your practice you feel that you need to be in mountain pose or child's pose, you go there. Okay, we're going to root down through our right foot. We're going to pick up that left foot, coming into flamingo pose. So here, pressing down again through all 4 points on that right foot. The left knee is bent, the foot is flexed. When we look down, we don't want the leg to be turned in or rotated outward. So that ankle's right underneath the knee. We level the hips. Here we level those hips. And then we square the body as though we had 2 panes of glass pressing on the front and the back side, so that we're not reclined back or pitched forward. We're right here. And again, a little bit of a bend in that standing knee helps us be able to sort of sway a little bit and keep our balance. Great metaphor for life. We need just a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of give to stay stable. Using that yogic breath. Sending the breath to places where we need it. Helps untie knots, helps increase awareness. Where do we most need that breath? Take a breath in, exhale, lower down slowly. And rather than shake out the standing leg or shake something out, just bring the hands together for a moment. Let the muscles relax and release, and just feel the effects of the work we've done. And we'll stand on the other leg. On our left foot now. So rooting down again through all 4 points. Pressing down through that left foot. Bringing that right knee up. A little bit of a bend in that left knee. A little bit of give. Flexing that right foot. This is flamingo pose. Leveling the hips. Squaring the torso. Feeling like we have 2 panes of glass that press on the front and the back side of the body. And then the arms come up. You can have them here too, or hands on the hips, whichever you prefer. Take a breath in. Exhale, slowly lower that leg. That is actually a core strengthener. We work on the hip flexors here. That's considered part of our core. And it's really good for us to strengthen them because they're often a little bit weak or tight. So we're going to come back down to our mat for a brief seated meditation. Down. Again, sit comfortably. We can move flesh away from sit bones so that we have that tripod effect of the 2 sit bones and the tailbone. You can let your eyes close gently. Relax. This meditation is about saying yes. yes to life. There's a brief reading first, a little bit of understanding about this practice. The practice of saying yes often brings up objections or confusion. It sometimes feels like a shallow version of positive thinking, or a way to gloss over the reality of how hard a life or a situation can be. And we certainly can't say yes to everything, people wonder, because if we did, like what happens when we want to hurt someone, or if we're experiencing deep depression? Wouldn't saying yes feed those states? Saying yes does not mean approving of angry thoughts or sinking into any of our feelings. We're not saying yes to acting on our harmful impulses, nor are we saying yes to external circumstances that can hurt us. If someone is treating us badly or abusively, certainly we must strongly say no and create intelligent boundaries to protect ourselves. But even in that instance, we can still say yes to the experience that we're having in that moment, that experience of fear or anger or hurt that's arising inside. Yes is an inner practice of acceptance in which we willingly allow our thoughts and feelings to naturally arise and pass away. Some people wonder, if you're filled with thoughts of self-hatred or anger towards ourselves, won't our attempts at friendly acceptance just cover over what we're feeling? That's a good question. As we know, in our relationships with others, we can act friendly while actually harboring a lot of judgment and distaste. The challenge at these times is, can we bring a friendly attention to just how unfriendly we feel? Can we see clearly what we are experiencing and say yes to the huge force of no that's happening? And if we can't manage that, then at least we can intend to be friendly toward those feelings. Saying yes can also mistakenly be considered a technique to get rid of unpleasant feelings just to make us feel better. Saying yes is not a way of manipulating our experiencing, but rather an aid to opening up to life in the moment exactly as it is. While we might feel lighter and happier, this is not necessarily what always happens. Regardless of how our experience unfolds, by agreeing to what is here, we offer it space and express itself and move through us. There are situations where it's not always wise to say yes to your inner experience, particularly around trauma. Sometimes old feelings, traumatic feelings, can be triggered, and we might not have the balance in a particular moment to meet that experience with friendliness. It would be better instead, in this case, to find a way to alleviate the fear, perhaps by seeking comfort of a friend, through exercise, taking a walk, a break. For the time being, saying no to what feels like too much and yes to what keeps us balanced is the response that's compassionate that we should offer ourselves. So with this next exercise, I encourage you to do what is often referred to as picking up a 10-pound weight and not a 100-pound weight. So practice with something that's manageable and not overwhelming. If you feel overwhelmed, say yes to finding a way to make yourself more comfortable and let go of the practice. So sitting quietly, closing your eyes. You can also recline on your mat if you prefer, taking a few full breaths. And bring to mind a situation that elicits anger or fear or grief. It can be an argument with a loved one, the loss of a dear one, a power struggle, an illness, a hurtful behavior that you might regret. Take a moment to get in touch with the charged essence of the story. The more readily you can access the feelings in your heart and throughout your body, the better able you'll be to access the benefit of the exercise Again, remembering that we're using something mild, a 10-pound weight. What is it about this situation that provokes the strongest feelings? You might see a particular scene in your mind, hear words that were spoken, recognize a belief you hold about this situation or what it means for your future. Be especially aware of the feelings in the stomach, chest, and throat. And in order to firsthand see what happens when you resist the experience, begin by experimenting with saying no. As you connect with the discomfort or the pain, mentally direct a stream of no at the feelings. No to the unpleasantness of the fear, anger, or shame. Let the word carry the energy of no, rejecting, pushing away what you are experiencing. As you say no, notice what this resistance feels like in the body. Do you feel tightness, pressure? What happens to the painful feelings as you say no? What happens to your heart? Imagine what your life would be like if in the next few hours, weeks, and months, you continue to move through the world with the thoughts and feelings of no. Take a few deep breaths now and let go by relaxing through the body, opening your eyes, shifting your posture a bit, and take a moment again to recall the situation. The situation that you had chosen. Remember the images, the words, beliefs, and feelings connected with it. This time, direct a stream of the word yes at your experience. Agree to the experience with a yes. Let the feelings float, held in the environment of yes, even if there are waves of no, fear or anger that arise with the painful situation, or even from doing this exercise. That's okay. Let these natural reactions be received in the larger field of yes. Yes to the pain. Yes to the parts of us that want the pain to go away. Yes to whatever thoughts or feelings arise. Notice your experience as you say yes. Is there a softening, an opening? Is there more space in the mind? A little openness, perhaps? What happens to the unpleasantness as you say yes? Does it get more intense? Does it become more diffuse? And what happens to the heart? Imagine for a moment what your experience would be like if in the next few hours, weeks, and months to come, you brought the spirit of yes to the inevitable challenges of life. Open your eyes if they're closed. If you're seated, come down to a reclined position for Shavasana, for deep relaxation. Come onto our back. If that's comfortable, if you prefer to lie on your side or on your belly, that's fine too. You can stay seated, whatever you prefer. Feel the body relax. Feel the mat absorb the weight of the body. Let the body become heavy. And let the mat absorb your weight for the next few moments. Continue to rest in Shavasana. And as we end our practice, let your intention be to say a gentle yes to whatever sensations, emotions, thoughts, images arise throughout the remainder of your day. Slowly stretch. Find your way back to a seated position. Sound an Om together. Inhale and exhale. Om. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me today.